Hello and welcome to sort of an impromptu video. I don't think we've done one of these before. It's something that I am going to start doing perhaps. We'll see how this one goes. It's basically my thoughts and feelings on the big summer preview show that you can see here on the screen. It's something that was previewed, I think it was Friday evening in the UK. And there was a lot of really cool stuff and there was some questionable stuff. So I just wanted to put a little video together and talk about it. I'm also trialing out a new microphone, so if audio is a little bit funny, hopefully I'll get it in the edit, but just bear that in mind if anything goes a bit wobbly. Okay, so I've got all the tabs loaded up. We're going to go through and we're going to do sort of 40k, and then we're going to go to Heresy, then to Age of Sigmar and Fantasy, and then sort of the specialist bits and some bits to end the video off. But it's going to be basically my thoughts and feelings on what I think and how I feel about these new reveals. Okay, so first up we have the new Orc miniatures coming, which is quite nice to see. We knew that the Orcs were getting some sort of a range refresh / update. I do still think there's loads to come for the Orcs. We've got a lot of the older models, such as like the Looters and the Burners and things that are a little bit old, so they may actually get redone down the line. It wouldn't surprise me, you know, given things like how things have gone for the Necrons and the Tyranids when they've been the big bad of the edition. They've had sort of overhauls on some of the older kits, but the first one that you see here is the new truck, which is nice. You know, it's cool to see. I quite like it. Not as Orc truck like as I would like, in that I sort of mean that all the tires and the sort of aesthetics of the model, it's quite matching. I feel like Orcs scrap stuff together a lot more. Things like the front here just looks a bit too clean and sort of matching for the Orc symbol, and then as I say, the tires here, it just to me doesn't scream Orky. You know, what about if these were like, I don't know, different stylings? These all look like the same style of wheel, unless they pinched it off of something that had the same wheels. I don't know. That's just a very fine finicky point. Everything else though, you know, I like the look of it. Probably won't get any myself. I've got 3 of the original Orc trucks, and this one, to me, I think it might be over-pieced in the sense that there might be too many pieces just for what it is, and also perhaps overpriced. I think this will be their opportunity to raise the price a little bit on this kit. But overall, you know, a nice model. If you've not got any trucks and you want the cheap ones, get the old ones now, but going forwards this will be your main go-to, I guess. There is different variants and different styling, which is cool. If I just click the arrows, here we go. These look, you know, the same. I don't perhaps like that it's stilted at the back. I don't get why it's sort of got stilts on but then it's tilting forwards. That's just a personal preference. We're on to mech now, which I like. I like the look of. To me, the mech, I've got the Forge World character mech, I can't remember what he was called, that had the Gretchen with the megaphone and then the drawing board. So this is very similar in styling to that, you know, having the crane and having the hook and stuff, and you know, it looks like he's under the weight of that hook and the crane section by sort of haunched over. You know, I quite like it. It's a model that I might get down the line. At the same time, I don't particularly need one at the moment. My Orcs are fairly complete, so I'm kind of fortunate in that respect. Now the War Boss, I think I've either dreamt this exact model or we've seen this before. I feel like this is something that we've seen hints of before somewhere, because it looks very, very familiar. If that's saying something and we haven't seen it before, you know, perhaps the War Bosses need a bit more imagination. The tactical rock style, jaggedy rocks, it's a bit like the War Boss on the bike, the character that just came out a few months ago. I took all that off, you know, it doesn't need it. It doesn't do anything for the model, in my opinion. You could have him walking on the flat ground and he'd just look as cool. The gun I really like. The claw, I'm a big fan of the claws. I like the claws, especially when the alternative option, and perhaps I should have said this at the top, I have looked through all this and had the weekend digesting stuff. to me, the alternative of just a normal axe doesn't really sit right. I quite like the old school style chain axe that one of the older models had. It was like a double-sided chain axe, or just, you know, a big chain axe of some sort. It just doesn't seem right, it being nothing powered here, despite having cables and whatnot. But no, I really like the claw. I think the claw is really cool. I also took Ra to the Warhammer store and let him play with the claw that they've got in at the moment, as the promotion for the 11th edition. If I just jump to the next one, yeah, and I really like here, you know, he's made sort of his own commissar hat. That links in nice with the Yarrick sort of crossover of the Yarrick and the Orcs and stuff, and maybe an Orc seen Yarrick with a nice hat and decided he wants one for himself. But everything else on this model I think is really cool. The squig, I'm not sure about having the tail. I don't know where that's come from all of a sudden. That's something new to me. Don't remember or don't recall squigs having such a long tail, but each to their own, I guess. Codex Orcs, you know, that's for sort of 11th edition standalone Armageddon units, so they're coming out separately. This model, I really liked the Armageddon stuff, and I actually haven't got the Armageddon box. I really liked all the Armageddon stuff until I saw this guy in the flesh, because this axe to me is about 80% the size of what it should be. It just looks like he is such a big model, he should have a bigger axe, if that makes sense. The scale of it just looks a little bit off. So probably won't get that. The Weird Boy I really would like for my Orcs. I think that's a really nice model, as is the Banner Bearer. Hopefully one day I'll get that down the line. Orcs dice, this picture still hasn't loaded. It must be in the video, but I didn't watch it. Having Ra and Leotidas has just meant that we've not been able to do much in terms of getting into the studio to do some recording. Okay. So that's pretty cool for the Orcs. Pretty happy with where they're at. I think there's going to be more to come, as I say. I think we're going to see this campaign at the very bottom, the campaign mentioned here, the Deathmire. I think it's one of those, if the Orcs are doing better, then they get the reveals sooner kind of thing. And I think we're going to see, you know, looters, burners, some of the older kits get new models. So let's close that one and go to the next one. The big summer preview for the starter sets, you know, it's what's coming Armageddon plus some terrain, and I think there's some ready painted terrain as well, which is cool. The ready painted terrain, I'm interested to see the quality of it. Not that I would be painting anything better, it's just if I'm paying, it will have a premium to it. If I'm paying a premium for ready painted terrain, I want it to look good. Additionally, this sort of dusty effect at the bottom, that's not going to work on all, here we go, it's this dusty effect at the bottom, it's not going to work on all boards, I don't think, because our boards are very much Mechanica standard grey sort of base coat and then worked up through the greys. This won't fit, so there's part of that being a blocker for me. What it should do is it shouldn't have this rubble, it should just be sort of, you know, a standalone building. Again, really cool though. Want to see it in the flesh before I make any purchases or anything like that. You know, see things like the hazard cabling, what that looks like, and take it from there. But no, really cool, interesting designs, and we'll see how that comes. Again, I think this is the pre-painted stuff. Yeah, but ready painted terrain set, 28 pieces of terrain split between ruins, galvanic relays, capacitors and other thematic elements. So yeah, pretty cool. Oh wait, hang on, actually maybe there's not the dusting on the, oh no, there is still a bit of pre-dusting, but not as much actually. We might be able to get away with that. We'll see. Battlefield boards, yeah, you know, battle mats. I get that people are doing battle mats more and more these days, but I'm a big fan of the old style boards and terrains and things like that. So, no, cool terrain, nice looking terrain. Might get some just to see what it looks like, but also fit in some sort of feature elements into my terrain collections. Next, we have the Exodites, which, as a huge Eldar fan, as many of you know, I am a big Eldar fan. You know, we have 17 Wraith Knights here at Strategic Painting. I'm disappointed. It's essentially 3 models with 2 unusable models, apart from if you're using Kill Team. I think they'll have rules in Kill Team, but these, if I just scroll down quickly, jump ahead, the Dracolites, those perhaps aren't going to get much use in normal 40k. The models though, they're cool. They're just a bit disappointing that there's only 3. Maybe this is a sign on what's to come, in the sense of, you know, maybe the Exodites might get more of a range in future, but we'll have to see on that one. I do foresee that this is very much a niche within a niche. It's very much like the Kroot. You know, it's a niche army in the sense of Eldar, but then it's also a niche that somebody's not choosing Corsairs, they're choosing Exodites out of the Eldar range. So I don't imagine there's going to be vast swathes of Exodite reveals or releases to come. There might be the odd sort of, you know, autark or something that's, you know, like a character, and then a couple of heavy units, sort of like an elite or a heavy unit, but no, cool models. Some of the styling choices and the colouring choices is interesting. The dice, I'll be interested to see if they ever did dice for them, if they're going to be this sort of neon bluey kind of look, because that'll be something that I'll then take a pass on, because I like the bone colour dice that they use. It also goes well with my Ulthway having bone coloured dice. Then we have alternate builds, which are a bit like the Shining Spears. They could potentially be used as that, as rules in 40k, if they didn't have their own rules. I don't know if they will. I've not had a chance to sort of read through and check that one. But no, they're all right. As I say, a bit disappointed that there's only 3 models, but it is for Kill Team primarily. It's not for 40k. You know, it's nice that they're getting their own book, I guess. I don't particularly remember that any of the other Kill Teams getting their own sort of codex looking book. So we'll have to see. Next, we have the Horus Heresy, which, as everybody who is a fan of the channel knows, I claim to have the world's largest Custodes collection, with nearly 250 models in the collection. Plastic Custodians incoming, really cool to see. You know, it's really nice to see that Plastic Custodians are coming. Again, we've obviously had the troops, we've had the Calidus, the Cronus. We knew that we were short of the Pallas, the Telemon and the Egmatus jet bikes. The thing I really want is, the main thing is the Aquilons. We just want Aquilon Terminators. I can't wait for them to come. You know, they are what I will be getting to add to the collection, as long as the stylization hasn't changed too much, which I'm going to talk about here, because the stylization has changed a little bit in the direction that I'm not particularly a fan of for something from this lineup here. So we've got the Telemon. This is perhaps the biggest stylization change that we've had for this range. I'm not a fan of the leather drapes on the shoulder pads, and I'm not a fan of how it sort of is now like higher up. To me, that doesn't fit as well. I liked that it was a bit more armoured, and you know, you can see a bit too much of the arm, in my opinion. At the same time though, I've got 3 resin Telemons. I do not need another particularly, even one that's got a new sort of a Drathic looking weapon. In fact, does it have a name, this one? It is the... Let me have a look. A Drathic Desolator. Which, you know, is cool. It's got a new weapon. Looks like all the weapons are in the box as well. It's not going to be like sort of Leviathans or Contemptors and have that controversy around it. They are all going to be included in one box, which is nice. But to me, I'm happy with the two weapon options that we had before, along with the Castius and the projector, the plasma projector, I think it was. It might have changed. Neutronium Cascade projector. But yeah, no, you know, to me, I probably won't get any of these. The Gear Falcon jet bikes, I think these, I said Egmatus Custodians, maybe I was wrong, but the Gear Falcon is the pattern of the jet bike, as opposed to the Virtus, the Dawn Eagle, sorry, the ones that the 40k ones had. Really nice kits, you know, nice that they're coming in plastic. The resin ones were bit tricky. You know, the lances were prone to being sort of a weak point, and my flying stems on a couple of them broke, so it sort of became a a job of having to then pin and sort of refix that, which it is what it is, but at the same time, you know, it's nice that these are coming in plastic. I potentially will get some of these down the line, just to add into the collection and flesh out the jet bike side of things. Okay. Next we have the Palace Gravitech, which I'm happy with. The fact that it's finally in plastic. I wouldn't have bought all 6 of mine if I knew that one day we were going to get plastic custodes, but I've got 6, I don't need any more. Okay, they're all armed with the old weapon and they don't have the different weapon options like these ones, but I'll leave it as it is. 6 is enough for me. So to me, it's going to be a pass on this box for now. The journal, the Judgment of Valdor. Somebody mentioned, I saw a post somewhere, I can't remember who it was, that said it wasn't Valdor's Judgment, so why have we called it that? I don't know, you know, it was sort of Russ and Horus, and the fact that Russ had been tricked. I don't know, we'll see. We'll have to get the book, read it, and see if there is a Judgment of Valdor in there. Okay. So that's everything Custodes, which is cool. You know, it's nice to see that we're getting expanded. I really want the Aquilon Terminators. That's the main thing for me in plastic, and I think that's the same for Minion. But I can only speak for myself, and Aquilon Terminators are a must. So let's jump to the next one. Big summer preview, new ogres. Now, I don't know if I posted actually on the Instagram page, but at the start of the year, my evenings were taken up by painting my ogre army for the Million Model Challenge. I actually sort of pushed myself to get the entire army done, and I'm really glad I did. It's now all boxed up nice, and it fills the case nicely, so there's not really much room, which is such a shame, because looking at these models, I really like a lot of them. This box set I think is a really cool box set to get. It might actually make me interested in doing Age of Sigmar again. I've not played it since the start of 2nd edition, when I gave up, because there just wasn't much in the way of love for it in my community. There's still a few people that still play it. I just don't particularly play alongside them enough to watch their games and want to play it myself, but it looks like a really cool box. The Tyrant, you know, it looks like a nice model. I like that there's, you know, big earrings of horns and things, and I like that, you know, it looks like he's seen a grudge that he's got over on the other side of the battlefield, and he's just eyeing them up ready for a scrapping. We've then got alternate build for a different Tyrant, which again is really cool. The Everwinter styling is obviously very thematic for Age of Sigmar ogres. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but that's where, when I left the Age of Sigmar, my ogres were on round bases, but I actually rebased them to Old World, because I just, you know, I wanted to use them for the legacy stuff. Might get this one, might get that one, we'll see how it goes. The new Gluttons, really nice models, you know, a bit more posable, a bit more dynamic than the previous ones, which is really nice. It also, somebody mentioned, I think, is it this one, or somebody mentioned that there might be a female looking one, if you could count any ogres looking female. I think the point of them is they're just this great big lump of flesh that's perhaps this one, maybe. It might not be, but it's cool. You know, these models are really nice, a bit more dynamic, a bit more going on, a bit more sort of, you know, a bit more of the 21st century styling of them. So, you know, using 2026's technologies and stuff to get things to a great level, which I'm happy with. You know, I definitely would consider joining the Age of Sigmar groups and playing some Age of Sigmar with these models. Whether or not they'd make it into my Old World army, if I could put them on bases so that they stacked with rank and file, that might be something to look at, if not doing Age of Sigmar. The new Iron Guts, really, really cool models, bit more going on, bit more armour, bit more, you know, bit grander than the original ones, which is really, really nice. Again, still very dynamic, still very posable. I like that they also sort of have the same theme of these sort of old style of helmets. It's sort of a modern version, a modern take on the old style, which I really like. I like that they've got a lot more going on in terms of, you know, bags and skulls, and they look like they're striding and running into battle or wielding these lumbering weapons and really having to lean into it. Just shows, you know, that that's such a big weapon that a normal human probably wouldn't be able to lift up. So, you know, to me, this is a winner of a kit. I think the ogres have been done quite nicely. Then we've got the Maulbeast Cavalry, something that I really like the look of. This just looks like one of those sort of dogs that, you know, it's sort of looking at you and it's thinking, I can. In fact, it's something in a film with something like this. It looks something like out of Ice Age or something, that you could just see like a saber cat style, or in fact maybe even the Star Wars thing that attacks Anakin, Obi-Wan and Padme when they're in that I forget what it's called, the sort of great big gladiatorial scene where they have to escape it. It's just got a mouth like that, and, you know, the horns and the sort of claw feet kind of thing. I just love these models. I think they're brilliant. I think definitely some of them will make it into my old world collection, just to go alongside the Mournfang, because I think you know, these are easily Mournfang sort of proxies, and I don't foresee anybody in the old world community in my area actually having a problem with that. So no, I really like these models. They've done a great job on that. Here's the alternate builds for them. You know, a bit darker of a colour scheme on this one than the orangey sort of brown. This one I quite prefer, just because it you know, has a bit more of a. I'm a fan of things looking a bit grimdark, even if obviously they're not just 40k or 30k. You know, I'm a fan of sort of things looking a bit more sort of earthy and darker tones and things like that. And they've kept this in from the Stonehorn with the vulture, or with the bird of prey, you know, sort of being helping them out and being trained to look for prey and things like that for them to chase after or eat, or, you know, whatever. So we've then got the sort of the centerpiece model, Red the Maw, the High Slaughtermaster. A really nice model, you know. I really like the look of this. I definitely, probably, if I did Age of Sigmar, would want one of these, but we'll just have to see how we get on. To me, you know, if I've got enough people in the community that want to start playing Age of Sigmar, then something I can jump into at the club. I can definitely jump into playing Age of Sigmar, and this would be my go-to army, just because I have an ogre army already, and I really enjoyed painting and playing with them for Old World. A nice kit, you know, a nice kit. And oh no, we're still not done. I thought we were done. We've got a butcher. We've got a new butcher model, which is great, because the butcher, you know, is fine cast. It's Citadel fine cast, and, you know, it's nice to have an update. I think we've also got a bit more going on here as to, you know, the cauldron. It's cool to be able to see what they're cooking up. I liked that about the Great Moor Pot scenery piece, that you could just see some odd little bits of tentacles and eyeballs and, you know, just stuff that they're cooking up. I really like that effect. It reminds me of the old butcher who's pulling the cauldron behind him, having all the little bits bubbling up and stuff. And I actually didn't put any of the Noblars on, just so that then it was more of a focus of the actual butcher over anything else, but also, you know, it just highlighted a little bit as to what was going on in the cauldron. We then got cleavers, which are sort of, well, which all could be used as butcher models, I guess, for Old World, because you put these on a 50mm square base, you're sort of laughing. You've got 3 cool butchers there to use quite nicely. So, you know, a really nice kit as well. I don't think they've actually missed on the ogres. I think these are really well done. And I think these are an alternate build for the, these are Gutseers, which again could be used as butchers quite easily, you know, although the plates look a little bit more, I prefer the sort of plainer style. It just, to me, screams a bit more ogre-y than, I suppose, these are some sort of like low-key psyker or something, or whatever they're called, magic wizard, whatever they're called. So no, yeah, really cool set, really cool sort of series of new models for Age of Sigmar, something that would tempt me back in. I know Minion said he might be interested in the Chaos Dwarves at some point, so maybe that's something we'd look at. So to me, I think this is the best of the bunch for the reveals. I think this has really nailed it. The Chaos models in this set, in this preview page, it's hit the nail on the head for me. So we've got the new core starter set, which is great. I wish I'd have known the Cathay was coming out in this core starter set with such nice Chaos models, because I already have all the Cathay stuff and I don't want to have to buy it again to get the Chaos stuff. Obviously I'll just wait till the Chaos stuff's out if I was to add it to my Warriors of Chaos army, but it would have been cool to get both in one had I known that this was coming down the line. I do also believe that it's up for Sunday preview pre-order for this Saturday as well, which is actually the quickest turnaround from a preview show to then being up for Sunday preview. I think it was something like 34 hours. We knew about it and then it's up for pre-order the following Saturday. So that is the new record holder, which is pretty cool. So we've got the Champions of Chaos, which is just a beautiful model. I tell you, I sort of encourage you to go and look at this page and just stare at this model, because it has so many hidden details and things that you can just look at and see more every time you look at it. You know, this is actually a dual kit, so you can build the one on the steed with the banner, just here, so you can have it as optional. You know, you can have it as different. I think it looks better on foot, purely because I'm not sure, you know, why we're holding our fist up here like these darn kids, but to me, I think maybe you could even put the head into that arm actually, so that it's holding up the head of its enemy. It just, to me, screams what Fantasy Chaos looked like. You know, it was all sort of old, battered, disheveled armor plating, and you know, the horses were just covered in as much chainmail and as much armor as they could have and that they could physically carry. I think they've just nailed it here. Chaos Knights, again, it's one of those kits that there's so much going on that you can just stare at for hours and you can still spot new things. I used Varangard as part of my Chaos Knight army. I think I used them as sort of the exalted version, which I think it fits, but these are just beautiful. You know, these are just absolutely beautiful, and I think they've really nailed it here. Same for the Chaos Warriors. You know, they remind me a little bit of, I don't think they're called ruffians. They're essentially like the cultists of maybe the Flagellants or something. I can't remember, of Empire of Man or Bretonian or whatever. Like just a hodgepodge of, you know, armor plate here, armor plate there. You know, we're all in a rabble kind of trying to run at the enemy, and just, you know, there's just so many arms and things going up and about, and I just really like the look of them. You know, this, I never did fantasy. I always wanted to, but I sort of was on Lord of the Rings at the time, and then the Age of Sigmar came. But to me, this is exactly what old school Warhammer looked like. You know, it was models rank and file, you know, all wielding weapons, throwing their arms up, having it so it was a block of just stuff happening. So to me, again, they've nailed it. They really have. Now to my favourite reveal of the entire show, the Chaos Dragon. It, to me, looks magnificent. I think the tactical rock, I think, is a bit much, but I think you need to see it in the flesh to be able to truly appreciate just everything that's going on. I think it's absolutely magnificent. This beats any model like Archaon or any other dragon model outside of Smorg, you know, Krondis, you know, although the Age of Sigmar dragons, this beats it hands down. This looks like it's been, you know, it's a dragon that's been in a scrap, it's been fighting, it's got torn wings, it's got veins, you know, it looks like it's it just looks like it's ready for a fight. You know, you can almost look at the head here and hear the high-pitched scream that's coming out of it for, you know, encouraging the Warriors of Chaos, but also striking fear into the enemy. They've just nailed it. You know, the tactical rock aside, I can sort of ignore that in the sense that it's using it for posability and just to make it a bit more grand. It just, to me, I will be getting one of these whether or not I'm pursuing Old World Chaos army, because I've got my ogres, but to me this is just magnificent. And the alternate build as well, you know, even in these colours, it looks like I don't know if there is such thing as a Tzeentch dragon in Old World, but just that colour palette just makes it you straight away think of, you know, more of a grim Dark Lord of Change style of model. It's just fantastic, you know, and it's another one of those models that when you come to look at these round, like these collage pictures, you just notice more and more, you know. You even like the intricate details on the throne, on the chair, the rider's chair, even the book, you know, having the little sort of chaos bits, and then the blue glowing effect and the rust, and they've just nailed it, you know. I'll give this one a chef's kiss. You know, I think I prefer this version, you know, with the actual Chaos Lord on top, but this one, they've just nailed it. They've done well. Rulebook now with FAQs in, which they did for Necromunda, I believe, first, which was really cool. Don't particularly think I'll get it. We'll see. It's nice that they put in the FAQs in there. Battle March, really cool. I think I will get this just to do smaller games, just to learn how to play smaller games more effectively. That's something that I'll definitely do. Minion might be interested as well, just to be able to actually take little baby steps into the hobby, into the old world side of things. Then we've got some new boxes, you know. I don't know if these have the new, I know these are the older, oh no, they are the Marauder Horsemen. I believe they were fairly new models anyway, so it's nice that we're getting sort of Combat Patrol style boxes for Old World. And then we've got the March of Chaos, the new Arcane Journal, and some new card packs. So again, really exciting. I think this is the best of the bunch for the reveals for this summer preview. And we've got Blood Bowl. I'm not really a Blood Bowl person at all. I know that Morgan Thorg have had models before, so I think it's nice that, you know, he's now got a new model. Just keep it a bit more fresh, but I think you can pose here, have the different versions to have different poses and stuff like that. So really cool, nice models. I think they're doing bigger things basically, which is really cool to see. You've got your new Spike Fantasy Journal, Fantasy Football Journal, which is the Spike. I think they just use that as the journal to bring out new models and new releases. You've got some new pictures, and I think that's pretty much it. New dugouts, which is, you know, nice and cool. I'm sure Blood Bowl fans are pleased that you get a bit more variety available. Next, we've got new weapons for Titan Legions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most of these, if not all of them, already existed. I think they're just now all in plastic, which is nice to see. But as a Titan lover, you know, I've got 14 resin 28mm Titans. I would just like them to be done at 28mm scale. You know, it's cool that they're catering for people who just play Titanicus or Epic, but there are people out there that want the Titan weapons in 28mm scale for their bigger Titans. But I think, you know, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I think that's what their attitude is. You know, having a side cannon for a Warlord Sinistrum that they used to have rules for in first edition Heresy is very low on the list to get that sort of done for us. But you never know. Never say never. Maybe one day. It would be nice to have, even if we had sort of plastic kits for arms. I think, you know, we could get the plastic scaled up. Surely we could just have it scaled up to 28mm, and, you know, we can then have plastic arms on the resin Titans. Why not do something like that? But who am I to suggest things like that to Games Workshop, this billion-dollar company that doesn't listen to the customer as much anymore? Next, we've got then some new animations. Butcher's Nails. I've not watched this. It's obviously World Eaters related. You know, there's probably a dead Imperial Fist there, so to me there's not much reason to watch it. Why would I want to watch them dying? You know, cool to see that animations are still coming through. Necromunda, we've got some new terrain and a new core box. We've got the sort of Escher and Goliaths again. Really cool to see that Necromunda and things like that are still getting, you know, still getting new core sets. It shows that they are keeping to their promises of keeping them going. Obviously we've got huge ranges for them anyway, so I don't think they would have gone anywhere anytime quickly, but you never know. Eschers and Goliaths again, it's harkening back to the original first new Necromunda when Necromunda came out. That was the two factions in the box. Really nice to see that they've got new models, but to me they look very similar as to what already existed. I don't know any different. Perhaps I do the squats because they're just fun. Again, though, nice terrain. I feel like this is smaller than it looks, again, given the fact that this is essentially one board that it's on. You know, it only takes up sort of 40% of the board, which, you know, I'll see it in the flesh, a bit like those ones with the power things in that looked a bit like the TARDIS that sit in the middle of one of the boards. Really cool, but really small, and quite disappointing when I built both of them up and they were smaller than I was expecting. New cards and new books, and then new like sort of combat patrol style boxes which have the old models in, sort of the existing models. So if you've already bought gangs, which most of us at Strategic Painting have, and most of us in the community I guess have, then these boxes might not fit very well. But if you're starting Necromunda, then this will be for you. Okay. And then finally we've got the Warhammer Academy, which looks like a new way to start the hobby journey for people that are starting, you know, whether it's you're starting to look at the lore, whether you're starting to look at how to collect and build and paint. Warhammer Academy seems to have it all for you, and it's a free website which you can track and watch progress of how you're joining the hobby, which, you know, new blood into the hobby is what keeps hobbies going. There are other hobbies I do in my personal life that, you know, have fallen by the wayside because they don't do well at recruiting younger generations. So it's nice to see that Warhammer are thinking about, you know, the next generation that are going to carry the torch of this hobby. Okay. So that is everything from the Warhammer preview show. Again, this is a long video, so sorry for that. But again, I wanted to cover it. I wanted to try a video like this to see what I thought, just to get those documented in a video format. Again, if you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. If you'd want to comment and say you made it to the end, that would be really, really appreciated too. I am looking at trying to get a few more videos out in the near future, especially for things like the Siege of Terror, because the Jarl and I are very close to starting that. There's just a couple more units that need building and painting, and then we're ready to start with the Siege of Terror. We're also then looking at the Endless Ruin, what we can do for that. I think it might take on more of a story format. I'm not sure about how many games we can get in now that Minion has his own little minion, and obviously we've got Ra and Leotidas here, so we've got two kids now, so there's a lot going on in the personal side of things. And then finally, Croydon and I are doing an Imperium Maledictum campaign, which videos will start to come out for that very soon, once we start actually getting some time when the kids are asleep to actually go through the Imperium Maledictum and what we're going to do with this campaign. I'm going to be the GM of it, and Croydon's going to go through, and it's going to lead to a story which I want to tie into something else on this channel, so stay tuned for that, I guess. As I say, if you made it to the end of this video, I really, really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.